So I bury it. I don't tell anyone. So I go to dig it up. And I was so like frazzled. I don't know why. I just was like stressed. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this now. But I couldn't find it. Couldn't find it. Took me like 10 minutes. Eventually got it. Thank goodness. I accidentally dropped it. And I was like, okay. I was like, that's fine. And I go to pick it up. And its head is missing. Sorry, this is not funny.
And it's plastic. Like it's kind
plastic.
of like, it's not super breakable.
No, it's not at all. And like the
You
drop
beheaded
was, like,
St. Joseph?
I did.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Behind the Lockbox. I'm Stephanie Zalowski. Today, we have Justine Lieberman with us.
Woo, that's me.
So Justine is an agent with Compass in Los Angeles, and we actually met in Charleston last November. What an epic trip that was.
So much fun.
So
and
much
I met
fun.
you on the best part.
Literally.
Note,
So I knew the moment we met, we would stay in touch and become friends, which we have. We have been cheering each other on ever since and collaborating and sharing, which has been, I think, my favorite part of our relationship. Like we instantly started telling each other, like she was telling me about these coffee hours that she does. We'll get into all that, but it was just really, really cool. And I knew that day when we were cruising around the Charleston Harbor that I was like, you have to come on the podcast. So here we are. With that,
so
Justine, welcome to Behind the Lockbox.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad you're on.
I'm so glad you're here. Okay. Before we start, I told everyone you live in LA. So I want to do a quick check-in. As I said in the intro, she lives in Los Angeles. If you've been living under a rock out there, you don't maybe know what's going on, but there has been devastation that has swept through LA. And first and foremost, how are you? How's your family? How's your friends? How's your clients? Like, the news cycle has shifted as it does. And I think I told you this when we were texting, or I don't know if we had when we talked on the phone.
Yeah.
That somebody was like, so are the fires like out in LA? And I'm like, oh my God, like the news cycle shifted and like, yes, they're out finally. But like, anyway, So are you good? Are you okay? I know mentally you did not lose your home, thank God, but like it was terrifying for a while.
Yeah, it was really scary. When everything was going on, I don't even know how to explain it, but I was like not a person. I just was there's so much stress and anxiety and worry. Mm-hmm. There were a few arsonists that set fires kind of near me, which that's when it really was scary because I'm really in the middle of the Altadena and Palisades. Mm-hmm. So they were kind of far enough away that it was like, well, I'm kind of in the middle, but beyond that, we were kind of okay. Yeah. And then there were two fires right by me. And that's when it kind of panic set in. All that to say that everything is totally fine with me and my family. Good. Thank goodness. I do know just in general, as like time's gone on, about 20 or so people who've lost their homes in both areas, which has been really terrible. Yeah. It was 21 days of active fires, which we have never experienced before. I mean,
it honestly felt longer.
That. Yeah. I always say January was a really long year.
It was the longest year. It was
felt
insane.
Like an entire year.
Yes. Yeah.
But no, everything's like calming down. It's been really heavy. Showing properties we helped about 8 families find homes to rent after the fires.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and then
the price gouging that was happening.
Price gouging laws, I can like go on a whole tangent about that as well, has been insane because so funny. People are like, oh, we really want to help. We have a property. And then I'm like, oh, what price point? And they're like $12,000 a month. I'm like, you're not really helping. That's not helpful. A lot of people are struggling with insurance. There's so many different levels. Like some people are good. They got their stuff and some people are still trying to figure it out. Yeah. And so it's been really heavy of a topic because even showing properties, I was like, naturally, you're like, look at this walk-in closet. And then, they're like, well, we have nothing.
I have nothing to put in there. And you don't, that's not normally when you're looking at property, you're like, look at all the space and storage because that's what we want.
Right.
I can't imagine losing everything. Like, it's just stuff. And yes, memories were lost and photos were lost and heirlooms were lost, I'm sure. But again, it is just stuff. But, I heard something that somebody said after this and they were like, but it's not just stuff. Like it's the stuff that makes up a life. And like, yes, your life is the most important thing, but to lose and have to literally rebuild, like I don't even know where you start. I guess it's just
Yeah.
it's just one day at a time. You just put one foot in front of the other. And like I've had family friends that lost their house from a house fire like years, when I was younger, the dryer actually set the house on fire, which hot tip,
Yeah.
please do not run appliances when you're not home because you don't know what can happen.
Yep.
Dishwasher included. But like, it's just one of those things that like I don't even know what I would say. Like there's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can do. And
yeah, even with the things, it's like when you're in your home, you look at something and that you got when you were on a trip to Spain, okay? And then it's not just a thing that you got. It's that trip, the people the person you were with, the people you met, the food you had. Like there's so much to it. It's like just one small thing that reminds you of a life lived, like you said. And it's really, we helped a couple people who were retired. I mean, it's just been it's been a heartbreaking time.
Literally everything. Like we had, there was fires obviously breaking out here in San Diego. And there was one day where there was a fire here in La Jolla. A homeless person had started it in the canyon, which don't even get me started. I could go off. But I could smell the smoke. I was actually on a Zoom call at my desk and I could smell smoke in the house. And I was like, and my neighbor's texting me because she had the, app on, and she was like, oh my God, there's a fire right up the hill. And like, I live at the beach, but like right behind me here is a huge hill canyon and then the freeway. So like, yes, it's like, again, if COVID taught us nothing, that like things can happen here. Because before COVID, I always thought that's other countries, things happen. You always think like that's not going to happen here,
like,
right?
I'm like Florida. There's always something.
There's always something.
Here there are often wildfires. Like we
live through them every year, but the devastation,
it's usually in a rural, like
the Paradise Fire, like that was up in NorCal, like they are in, the middle of the forest. And like, again, that was also widespread devastation and all those things. Right. But like, and hurricanes happen and tornadoes happen and they take out communities, and like, we're not immune or new to these things, but like, this was another level. It really, really was. And also just on the brighter side, to like see the way LA banded together, I'm not surprised, because as someone really wise put it somewhere on social that I saw, like it's a town of creatives. It's a town of people who have built themselves from nothing to something. And also you get a breath of people living there, and that was the thing, is like when it was first happening, people were like, oh, well, the rich people can afford to rebuild. I'm like, excuse me. It is not just rich people that live in the Palisades. Like you think that, but it's not. And then Altadena, that fire, like that's
definitely not wealthy.
It's not. It is blue collar, normal, middle class, working class, whatever you want to call them. It is run of the mill, everyday people who lost everything.
Yeah. And the fire didn't discriminate. Like, this person's rich, I'm going to burn down their house. And there are people in the Palisades who have been there for generations as well. Yeah. So,
and they might not be able to afford to rebuild that. That's the other thing. And then we could get into all the governmental red tape and everything else, and how long, somebody asked me here, like, how long do you think it's going to rebuild? I'm like, well, if permitting and things don't change, 15 years, like nothing's going to move quickly.
I keep saying like Palisades probably 8 to 10 years, just because there's really 10. Only two ways in and out.
Right.
And imagine every house on one street needing to be rebuilt. That's why it's gonna take so long. Altadena, I actually drove through it. I can send you some videos and stuff, because
please,
the Palisades I haven't been back to. It's just because it's such a small community. It feels almost disrespectful. Sure. Altadena, I was in the area and I was like, you know what? I want to just see what's going on, and it really was super sporadic. Okay. And it was widespread. Yeah. But no, it's really beautiful to see how the community has come together to support one another. And it's something that you forget until something like this happens. And I think I've never experienced that before, but just people that were willing to donate things, give furniture, whatever it might be. It's been really good. That's been the silver lining, in all of this.
I'm so glad. And I was so worried about you, and I was keeping an eye on your stories every single day. Yeah. And it was, but again, the day that the fire broke out here, my dog was at the groomer and I had to go pick her up. And I literally called my neighbor and I was like, my birth certificate and social are on the counter. If I'm not back, grab that, because like, I don't know what else I can do. Like, and we all talked, like, if a fire came racing through, we would just go out to the water. Like, I can't, there's only one way out right here. We would go sit in the ocean. Like, that's all. it's all I would be able to. We all have big paddle boards. Like that's literally with our dogs. That's what we would do. And
Yeah.
it was terrifying to have to think about that. And like, I started like saving in my phone notes of like things to take if you have 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, 10 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
but it's just so, again, I looked around and I was like, I've got something. My best friend died when I was 17 and her parents brought me back something from Nicaragua where she's from. And like that's sitting here. And like, if that burnt, like, you know, it's those things, right? That like, it's just tough. So
I panic packed. I posted on I
the whole
posted
car.
it. Yeah, I posted it and I grabbed the most random, stupidest items. I like
That would
walked
be
into my
me.
closet. I literally was like underwear, check. You know, like I did like the basics and then I have like I have this like Nick Jonas signed autograph thing and I was like, better grab that. Who
If
knows?
I need money, I can sell this. It's got to be worth something. Like,
I literally
so
was like
funny.
the most random. And then
Oh
I
my
looked at
God.
it later because I really panicked. And
Yeah.
then when I looked at it when I was unpacking, I was like,
Yeah.
what was I thinking? This is
Yeah.
like, at the end of the day, I think, you know, that stuff's not important, but
No.
it's, you know, it's been a hard time, but
Yeah.
I feel like we're working through it. Things are moving forward.
Good.
And, you know, maybe in a year or so I can update you again, but
I would love that. And and next time I'm up there, I'll definitely, we got to get together. But
yeah.
anyway, well,
Definitely.
on that note, we do have some
Yes.
funny stories to share. And I know we were kind of
Yes.
chatting a little bit and you were like, I've got quite a few, but like, what's a banger that you want to start with? Cause we'll see where we are on time to do another one or even
Sure.
2 more.
So, I was trying to think about this a little bit, and I don't know if I've told you that at 30 years old, I got shingles. I don't know if I've told you that.
We actually, I feel like we talked about this on Instagram when everything was going on because you were like so
I was
stressed.
like, I'm gonna get shingles again. I'm like,
Yeah, and I was
so
like,
scared.
don't do that, please. Like, do anything. And actually, I think we were talking.
Yeah.
That came up when we were talking about the October stuff in Israel. Like,
Yeah,
you were like, I
October
had shingles at
7th.
that time,
Yeah.
and like that was also just again, we could go down these roads forever because that was also
Yeah.
super devastating. But like,
Yeah.
you okay? So you had shingles, which is so early.
Yes,
That
even at
normally-
urgent care, they were like, "You're too young," and I was like, "I hear you, but I have it."
But
so,
like, help me, please.
yes, no, but it's unfortunately it was a little bit work triggered. I think I had a.
We do live in a stressful environment, you know?
You know, but it did put things in perspective, which again, silver lining at the end of the day, but I just thought I'd tell you the story about that because there is some like funny nuances to it. But basically, I work with my dad. He's been in the business 38 years.
Yeah.
And so he has like some fun tips and tricks, you know, which is part of the story as well. But basically, we had this listing that when we put on the market, we started too high. This is something that happens unfortunately often.
Yes.
And learning and growing, that's something that we want to try to prevent so that we can get the best value of the actual property versus,
Yeah.
chasing the market down, yada, yada. So
Yeah.
long story short, this listing we had for a very long time. And after about 6 months, we decided to like do a reset. We staged it because they had been living there, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
And when we were about to put it back on, I went and got a St. Joseph. Do you know what that is?
I have a story for you about this when you're done. I do know what that
I was
is.
like, I don't know if you'll know, but my dad has told me stories of like when a house has had trouble selling.
Yep.
This is something that you can do. And listen, I'm Jewish, okay?
Yes.
We're Jewish. So
You're not
for me,
Catholic.
this is like
You're
the
not-
funniest. Like it just,
Uh-huh.
I want to be so respectful about this because I'm like spiritual. You know what I mean?
Same.
Anyway.
Same.
So basically, for people who don't know, a St. Joseph, you can buy like a small, like
It's like a
plastic-
little plastic idol doll,
yeah.
essentially. Yeah.
And-
Figurine. Looks like a
yeah.
G.I. Joe almost. But it's
Yeah.
plastic and it's the saint and he's dressed like a saint. Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole thing is you basically take the St. Joseph, you bury it upside down, facing the house.
Mm-hmm.
There's like very specific things, okay?
It comes with a card and it tells you exactly where to bury it, how to bury it. And there's different points. Like you can either do like the back or the front, but it needs to face the house upside down. Like it's a whole thing.
And it has to be in dirt. It can't be like there's
Correct.
a bunch of different
Yeah.
rules for the
Yeah.
St. Joseph. So
Yeah.
when we revamped this listing, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this because we're struggling a little bit. So
You're like me. I'll do anything and
carried it.
everything. I'll
Literally, I
stage,
was like,
I'll hire a
no, I
shaman, whatever,
saged. I did
whatever
all
needs
of
to
that.
happen. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are people that like hire
A
spirit,
cleanser.
yeah, cleansers, literally.
I have a story for you when you're done with this because I literally did all of that. You're going to die. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So, okay. So anyway, so I bury it. I don't tell anyone. I told my dad, I was like, I buried one, but don't worry about it. Like, it's just between
And
me.
the house was
You say
vacant. Nobody was living there, right?
vacant.
Okay.
Yeah. You're supposed to say like a prayer. It's like all this stuff. Anyway, so we end up selling the house, get an offer, the whole thing.
How
It's
long
great.
after?
It probably took like 10 days after relisting it.
Okay.
But we had open houses and we had a lot more interest. We were at a better price. We were better.
Right.
Like
It was
getting
like all the
staged,
things, like,
everything. But
Yeah.
St. Joseph helped, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Obviously. So when we're closing escrow, I happened to be there right when we got the email, like you're
Confirmed.
congrats, you're
Yeah.
confirmed, everything. And I was like, oh great. While I'm here, I will go get the St. Joseph. So no one was there except for me. So I go to dig it up. And I was so like frazzled. I don't know why. I just was like stressed. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this now. But I couldn't find it. Took me like probably 10 minutes. And I like dug in like a few different areas. And I was like,
You
oh my
turn
God.
around, there's all these holes in the yard. Like,
No,
my
literally. It was like more of like a dirt patch. So it was okay. But I put like a stick kind of near it so I could find it again.
right.
Couldn't find it. Took me like 10 minutes. Eventually got it. Thank goodness. Grabbed it. Okay. And then I kind of had my hands full with a couple different things. And I was like, oh, I'll take this to the car. And I was opening the gate. And when I opened the gate, I accidentally dropped it. And I was like, okay. I was like, that's fine. And I go to pick it up. And its head is missing. Sorry, this is not funny.
And it's plastic. Like, it's kind
plastic.
of like, it's not super breakable.
No, it's not at all. And like the
You
drop was
beheaded
like,
St. Joseph?
I did. And then I could not find the head. I'm like gonna cry laughing, but I literally looked. I was like, okay, let me put the stuff. I put the stuff down and I'm looking everywhere. No one's there. It's not like there's stuff on the ground.
God.
It's like the driveway area. I cannot find the head anywhere. So anyway, it's probably still somewhere there.
Still somewhere. And they
Still
probably
somewhere
were
there.
moving in and they were like, what is this? It like rolled under the garage or something.
I literally, it could be in the
Justine.
planter. I looked. I was like, how is
Everywhere.
it possible that where
This
could
one
it have
like,
gone?
and it's little, but it was still probably like that big. Like the whole
Yes.
statue is like this big. Like it's not
Yes.
teeny tiny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, his head was kind of little, but like,
Yeah.
okay.
And
So-
then just to wrap it up, and then I
Yeah.
got shingles afterwards. So who knows? It could be
The
could be
saint was like,
related to that.
you beheaded me, so therefore you get shingles.
I
Like,
literally-
that's how this happens.
That's what I think happened.
Oh my God. Okay. So I had a listing last year when I was on my previous team that we took in like January. They wanted to wait till March to get it on because they were like, waiting. They kind of missed. There was a weird thing. Like last year was still tough. This year is still kind of, I mean, I'm busy and doing okay, but like it's proving to be, all things have pointed that 26 and beyond is going to like when we're going to hit the ground running again. So like, we'll see. But last year was weird. And there was like a January push because we all thought rates were going to come down. And so
Right.
we had here in San Diego, like a massive, like where we hadn't seen that in a long time. Like January is typically still slow. People are getting back from holiday, whatever. Right. And then it completely died off in February and March. And we came on in March and like, they just kind of missed the boat. They weren't ready to put it on. They were perfectionists. They were trying to do stuff to the house, whatever.
Yeah.
So months and months and months go by. And they're increasingly getting upset. Like it's just not working. The house is not selling. We're like doing all the marketing. We were going to be negative in this deal because we actually were referred this deal from an agent in Texas. God love her. She's the best. And so we had a referral fee to pay. Both he and I are splitting the commission 50-50. And they knocked us down on commission and because we thought it was going to be a quick sale. So we were like, okay, like we'll do this your way, whatever. I mean, I was so negative on that deal commission wise. It was absolutely insane because it didn't sell till October and we took the
Right.
listing in January and we started pre-market and like
This
all
is
that
literally
stuff, right?
the same timeline.
I was at my mastermind group and I was like, guys, I need to sell this property. Like I felt bad. Like we were doing open houses we were doing price drops. Like nothing was happening. Look, they overspent and overbuilt for the area. They were thinking they were going to stay there forever. Plans changed. They had to move to Texas and they built a $500,000 ADU and like the neighborhood just couldn't support it. I mean, that was really the bottom line. Like it wasn't anybody's fault. It just the timing and it was what
Sometimes
it was.
that's
right?
what happens. Yeah.
100%. And so one of my friends was like, first, you need to call my energy cleanser and she will come out and she will cleanse the space. And I was like, how much is that? Done. Don't care. By the way, it was like,
we'll do it.
$600 or something stupid.
Okay.
Had her come out. She did it. And I had to like get permission because the daughter was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So we did. But then the mom was like, she was old. She's like, I don't really know what this means. Like, as long as it's not anything, sacrilegious and like crazy against God, like I'm fine with that. And I was like, okay.
Right.
So the energy healer came out, we left her alone and like the dog stayed and she just felt like the stress in the house and like the father had passed, the grandfather, like, so basically the mom was living in the ADU and then the daughter and her husband and her kids were living in the main house. So grandpa/husband had passed and all his stuff was in the garage. And so the energy healer said, look, I really think you guys need to pack up the garage and kind of move some of that energy out. He's so happy that you're moving on and you're staying together as a family, but like, it's time to move on. And they were like, okay. And so that all came and went. And then I was like, I called the daughter and I was like, can I bury a St. Christopher in the yard? But like, again, he comes from Catholicism. Like, so, is that okay with your mom? Like, I'm trying to be respectful and I just want to make sure like this isn't any voodoo stuff, but like I'm trying to bring some good omens to the house. Like I'm doing everything, girl. I'm doing the most here.
Yeah.
So she's like, hell yeah, do it. And I'm like, okay. So I get permission from the mom. So still a few months go by. We finally get an offer. The mom calls me and she's like not happy. And she's like, can you come dig up the dead guy you buried in my yard? And I'm like, yes, I can. Like, okay.
I will. Yes.
I will. And mine was like, the card was like, it told me to actually do it in I think it's like front or back, but like it was like in the corner, like west corner. I don't remember what it says. Right. But I did it. My for sale sign happened to be right there. So I was like, okay, people are coming by taking flyers. Like, so I didn't have to find it because I knew exactly. It was literally right in front of it. And I just dug them up and like, so I sent her a text and I was like, I have the dead guy in my car. Like we're good to go now. But
a dead guy.
It didn't work for me. Like, I just think, I don't know.
Yeah.
There was
but
so
did
much
you did you get shingles afterwards?
I did not, but girl, I'm not, I'm actually surprised I didn't because it was one of the hardest sales. Like it was just, and you feel so bad because you're doing every single thing you can. Like you just want to get this done. Like I'm just as upset that I'm putting in all this money, all this time. I'm driving out, like it was out in El Cajon, which I don't know how familiar you are with San Diego, but that's like you living in West Hollywood and driving
to Pasadena, probably. Like
probably further. Like it's
what, 45-minute drive?
Yeah. I mean, so like mileage wise, it might be further, but traffic wise for you, it's probably, it was about 45 minutes each way. You know what I mean? So it's so hard. Like I was just like,
and it's,
oh my
you
God.
want to do the best, for your clients, but also some things are out of our control
and I had these grandiose ideas of like, they're going to be like, this girl spent money on a healer, buried a dead guy in our yard and it sold. Like I was like, this is going to work.
Yeah.
No.
You want to put yourself in a position, I realize I do this a lot, where it's like, they cannot say that I didn't work really freaking hard. Like I really did it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
they probably look back and are like, that agent is crazy. she's burying dead people in our yard. And I'm like, well, I'm really sorry. Anyway.
My story was the one and only time I've ever done it. I haven't needed to do it. I try to live in a world where it's like,
some agents that do it every single listing. Like they really believe, and it's like now it works. And so now it's become like a superstition for them where they tell their client, hey, this is a part of it. Like I've only actually heard one agent do that. But, I was just like, I was trying, man. Like I was really trying, but she was not pleased that the dead guy did not sell anything. So she wanted me to dig him up. And I was like, okay.
Behind the Lockbox is sponsored by Property Showcase Group. Property Showcase Group has a team of creatives, directors, producers, editors, marketing specialists, and designers that work in tandem to tell and share stories of the built environment. Whether you're looking for full-service production or simply just in content creation, Property Showcase Group can help take your business to the next level. To learn more or to contact Property Showcase Group to schedule a consultation, you can find them at propertyshowcasegroup.com. That's spelled PROPERTYSHOWCASEGROUP.com. 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 I'm back to talk about our sponsor and producer, Property Showcase Group. This is for all my agent and affiliate friends out there. Property Showcase Group has a special offer for you. The first 3 agents to email Property Showcase Group at teampsg@propertyshowcasegroup.com will get 1 month free of social media management using code LOCKBOX. That's right, 1 month free. And they're offering 20% off your first video production using code LOCKBOX. For more information, contact Property Showcase Group at teampsg@propertyshowcasegroup.com, and don't forget to use code LOCKBOX or mention this podcast.
Well, we're doing our best.
We sold
We're
it
doing
though.
our best on
We
it,
ended
yeah.
up selling it, and we got the deal done, and like I've talked to them since, and like everything's fine. But it was just one of those things that you're just like I'm literally trying the most, but
you're doing the most, and that's all you can do.
So anyway,
that's so
okay.
funny.
Do you have another story?
I do. Do you want like a longer one? Or
Sure.
a shorter one? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have a story it doesn't have that happy of an ending.
That happens.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's I'm just gonna tell it. We'll just tell it and see how it goes.
Yeah. Go for it.
So, me and a friend of mine have some friends that live over the hill.
Okay.
Not too far. I actually just had a listing there. Like, it's not a big
In the valley
commute.
or?
So I live in the valley.
Oh, you do? Okay.
And we had some friends that live like mid-city.
Okay.
So kind of by the Grove, if you're familiar.
Yep.
And so we were going over for like I play Mahjong, super nerdy, super like.
I actually
feel
really
like an old
want to
lady.
learn. Anyway.
It's so much fun.
Okay, I've heard it's really fun.
Anyway, so me and my girlfriend that live over here, we're going to visit some friends that live over there and for Mahjong and dinner. So we go to, we head over the hill, and when we're on the way, the friend that's over there texts us and is like, hey, we're just on a walk. Do you mind picking us up before we go back to our place for dinner? They lived in like a 1-bed condo.
Okay.
Or they were renting.
Yeah.
And so we go over the hill. We're like, yeah, no worries, we'll pick you up. So we pull up and we see them on the sidewalk. And I think I'm so funny. I'm like, get in, loser, we're going shopping.
The best.
I'm like, I'm hilarious.
You're like, don't you guys love my reference? And they're like, yeah, okay, we get it.
Yeah, they're like, okay, you're being yourself. Anyway, so the friend is on the sidewalk and she goes, actually, we don't need to go shopping because we just bought a house. And then they showed me behind them the house they just bought.
Not with you.
Not with me. Obviously, I knew nothing about it. And my friend who I was with is also actually a licensed real estate agent. She doesn't do it full time. But we both looked at each other and they're like, come park in the driveway. And I literally
Weren't you
froze.
but wasn't there a plan to start house shopping with them?
I actually went, so a year before this, I had helped them. They were in their place or kind of growing out of it. And I helped them look for rentals because I do leasing as well. And especially for good friends. I'm like,
of course.
I'll go.
Yeah. I
I'm
don't
happy
do
to
leasing,
help.
but for friends and people that need it, I will absolutely be like, let me see what I can find for you. Yeah.
Yeah. These people, they're a couple, and she saw me transition because I worked in television for many years.
Oh, wow.
She was part of the, the journey into real estate. And there's no question that she, I literally, so I'll let me finish telling the story and you'll see my thought process as we go. But so basically I roll up the windows and we're pulling into the driveway. And I said to my friend, I was like, what do we do? She's like, I don't know. And I was like, should I put on my big girl pants and what do you do in that situation?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna we'll just go inside. I was like, I'm sure there's an explanation. Maybe it's because I'm friends with a girl and they're a couple. And I was like, maybe the guy,
Maybe his
don't
mom
know.
is an agent and we didn't know. I don't know, whatever.
Exactly.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, that's fine. So we get out, we say hi, and she was like, let me show you around. So her and her boyfriend at the time, I think they're married now. But
I feel I think I don't talk to them anymore.
Anyway, so could be right.
Yeah.
But no, so they're showing us around the house, and it's so funny. They're saying things like, "Oh, like this light fixture, like we didn't choose it. It came with the house."
You're like,
And look at them and I go, "This is literally my job." Like I was like,
I'm
I
aware.
understand. Yeah, I'm very aware of how buying goes. Anyway, so there's like a guest unit in the back, and we eventually get to the back, and I just was like, I was silent because I just didn't know how
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
say anything. I was like,
Right.
I was thinking the whole time, maybe they forgot I'm an agent, maybe they knew
Something.
someone. I just couldn't puzzle it together.
Yeah.
And there must have been like steam coming out of my ears. Like, I swear, I just was like, I personally could not think of a worse way for someone to tell me that they bought a house and did
It,
not use me, which
it's
is fine. If you don't want to work with me, that's fine.
just say it though. You know what
But
I
like,
mean? Like,
call
yeah.
me. Why don't
Yeah.
we have a conversation?
Yeah.
And I feel like there was obviously like a lack of respect there, which was really unfortunate.
Right.
I feel like I've had plenty of people that are like, "Hey, I'm buying
For sure.
something. I'm using my whatever. I just wanted to let you know." And I felt like that was really respectful.
100%.
I'm running my own business. Like, this is my livelihood, and
Right.
so if people don't feel comfortable having that conversation with me, then maybe, I don't know. It just was weird. But
Or even
anyway,
a text. I mean, if you can't even have the conversation, like, and
yeah.
that's the thing. Like, I think that I'll let you finish because then I want to talk about this because I think that there's a big misconception in how this business is run and how we're actually paid. So keep
Yeah.
going because I'm curious to see what happens at the
Yeah.
end.
So the friend says to me when we're in the back house, she goes, "By the way, Justine, I just wanted to say sorry that we didn't work with you, but we felt like you weren't an expert in the area." Dagger. And we didn't want to mix business with pleasure or whatever, however she phrased it.
Right.
And then she goes, "And we had many conversations pointing to her boyfriend about about working with you or not, and blah, blah, blah. And we just decided that it wasn't the right thing for us." And I said, "Well, I would have loved to be a part of one of those conversations, to either be able to refer you to someone in the area if you felt like I wasn't the right fit,
Right.
or if you wanted to work with someone and didn't want me to. I don't see your financials. I see the down payment.
Yeah.
I don't deal with the lender part.
Right.
I didn't really go into too much.
Right. Because what are you supposed to do? You're not going to get defensive in the moment. You're not. Like, you're
Yeah.
trying to not yuck their yum, but also, like,
Yeah.
it is so disrespectful the way that she went about it because, again, this is our livelihood. And, like, it could have absolutely at least been a text of a heads up. And then you could have said something back. And then if they chose not to respond, whatever. But, like, you could have at least said, "No, actually, I do know that area really well." Because, again, like Los Angeles is huge. San Diego is huge. And that's happened to me. Or, well, even like the listing that I was just referring to a minute ago, it was way out in El Cajon. Look, we're coastal agents. Like, I live on the coast. Like, I do a lot in La Jolla and the surrounding coastal communities. But, like, I've sold way out in Poway. I've sold in El Cajon. I've sold, wherever. So, like,
And I feel like you're like me. I know my limit. If someone's like, "Hey,
oh, for sure.
I want to buy in," like, someone asked me about Long Beach, and I said, "Listen, it would be a disservice for me to represent
100%.
you because it's just
100%.
not an area I'm familiar with."
Right.
And
Right.
I think professionals, you know your limits.
You do.
And so that's why it's so funny because I had a lease listing right like a few streets up from them
Yep.
more recently. And
Yep.
every time I would drive through, it just like would kind of crack me up. But so sorry, just getting back to what happened next. So, and I said to her, and I don't know if I would say this to like someone who wasn't a friend, but I
Sure.
basically just said, standing here right now, I was like, "I'm so happy for you guys. I think it's
Yeah.
great that you made this next step. I just can't think of a more hurtful way to be told that you decided to buy a house."
Right.
I was like, if you could have invited me to a housewarming party or yes, that would have sucked. And no matter what, I think it does kind of suck to find out that someone doesn't want to work with you.
In that way. Like, again, if there's a conversation had, like, I had a friend a few years ago that was moving back and they were like, "Hey, we want to start working with you, blah, blah, blah. Like, we want to look for stuff." I'm like, "Cool. she then sent me a text, and I know this to be true. Like, look, her dad was giving them the down payment and he wanted to pick the agent.
Yeah.
And she's like, I gave him your information, but I had to give him 2 others. I'm like, it's fine. And they chose a different one because he wanted someone in the neighborhood that lived there. And I'm like,
Right.
again, silly, but like, especially when it comes to a buy, because like, it's not like I have, you know what I'm saying? But like, whatever.
We still do our job. Like we still run
but
comps.
she let me know.
Still,
like she, she did let me know when it was already pending in escrow, but it was better than that. You know what I mean? Like, and I wrote back and I meant this with every fiber of my being. I said, girl, I am so pumped for you. I am so happy that you found a place. I know your dad is like in control of this and giving you the down payment. And I know how that dynamic works and how it can be. I can't wait to hang out. Like, I can't wait to come see it. And I meant that, like, because she let me know, you know what I mean? But it's when you're there and they're just like, can you come get us? We're on a walk. And then you pull up and she's like, surprise, the house we bought. It's just like, because again, going back to what I was going to say about like, I don't think people get how I was just talking to a good friend of mine. I've helped his daughter buy. I used to work with him back in the day in corporate America. And he was like, are you rich now? How's it going? Like, you're selling. And he's like, how much do they pay you? And I was like, who's they? And he's like, well, your company. And I'm like, honey, I am the company. Like, I'm paying myself. And he's like, what do you mean? And I had to break it down. He was dumbfounded about how he had no idea. And he's like, is this in Florida and in New Hampshire too? And I'm like, yes. Like, this is how this works. And he's like, wait, you're fronting the money for photos. You're fronting the money for XYZ. You're fronting the marketing. What? And I was like, yes. Like, and by the way, I have like, 5 listings right now, all this stuff. None of it has sold at the moment. So like everything we do on the front end, we're working for free until that place sells. Yeah. And then we pay ourselves back on the back end. But like our broker takes a cut, like this here and everywhere, our TC, like if you're splitting it with another agent.
So often.
Like
we only get paid on a closed transaction. So everything that I'm doing and that we're doing is at least it feels like free work. And it's like,
I mean, it
time
is.
and energy.
It really is, because look, deals can fall through. A listing can fall through. You have then paid all that money to market it in photos. And guess what? We don't get that money back unless you write that into the contract, but it's rare. Sometimes on a really big $20 million listing or whatever, we'll tell the developer who are like, yo, you got to pay us back for this if this fall, whatever the case may be. But like, it's rare that you do that, like, and so people just don't. So it was another reason of starting this podcast, right? Like I didn't fully think of that when I started the podcast. It was more born out of like wanting to communicate with my agent friends and commiserate and be like, oh my God, like the craziest thing happened. This homeless guy walked into my open house, or like I walked in on a dead guy, or like, whatever, a squatter, whatever the case may be, right? Like just wild shit that we see all the time. But then there was an element that was born that happened, as we started talking about being women in the business and the dangerous situations we sometimes find ourselves in, and we have to trust our instinct and our gut. And then this kind of stuff where people don't understand how we get paid, or we're super disrespected, whether it's an abusive seller or a friend who pulls this crap. And it's just like, it doesn't need to be a thing. It doesn't, like, we want our people in our lives to do what is best for them. Yeah. If they were super uncomfortable and they thought you'd see their financials, which thank you for bringing that up, we don't. Like, if they want us to look over stuff, fine, but the lender sees all that. We see what the down payment is, but that's it. We don't see your credit score. We don't see any of those things. So, that's, again, I've had people say too, like they don't want to mix business, and it's like, I get it. It's fine. And I just move on. You know what I mean? Yeah. But for everyone listening, I just hope that like you wouldn't necessarily treat someone else in your family this way, or like, doctors and lawyers and everything. I mean, my God, Justine, if we build the way a lawyer build for every text and every email we sent, we'd be having this conversation in my beachfront mansion.
Yeah, I was like, I would own
remember when the industry was talking about going to like hourly or like pay per bill, and I was like,
I would love that.
Bring it on.
Let's
do it. Let's do it. Let's see who can really afford to buy a house then.
Yeah.
But again, we're relationship based, and it's networking and it's collaboration, whether it's with clients or other agents or whatever it is. And that is so important to not lose sight of that. And I just think like people just don't get it. They don't understand how we get paid. They really think a brokerage pays us, and they don't. Like, we pay the brokerage.
And I think just for people who, I don't know, listen to this and are curious, like you can hire someone who's a real estate agent that wants to sell your house, and they don't care anything about you. They don't care about your situation. They just want to make that income, right? Yeah. I've never really been like money driven. I'm actually trying to be more money driven, because I will help people, and then they'll find something without me, and I'll be like, oh, okay. Like, and that's why I like the buyer representation agreement and yada, yada. So that stuff has actually
for us strong agents,
great.
It's only going to help us. Yeah,
exactly. And so like, I always say, like, do you want someone who actually cares about you and your well-being and your decisions, or do you want someone who wants to make money? And that's fine. And maybe they found an agent who cares and wants to, you know, do that. But yeah, that whole situation,
It's
it was
hard.
kind of sad. It was a really sad thing. And you know, I tried to say in the moment how hurtful it was, the way that they told me. It wasn't even about what they did. It's like, it's, you
No,
know, if
again, you want people to do what's best for them. It was the
100%.
way that it was disrespectfully brought to you and
Yeah.
just like, oh, by the way, like, sorry we didn't use you. Like, it's very dismissive and just like, again, it makes us feel where this industry has been for a while of just like very used car and everyone's out for the money and like, you know, all we do is turn on lights and open doors and make $40,000 and that's not the case. Like, that's just not true. And we've done deep dives about that on this podcast before because people, again, they don't know what we go through.
And
So.
it's like when you're an expert in an industry, like when I'm right now, I'm making like some swag with a friend, and he's like, I'm giving you such a good deal, like blah blah blah. And I said, I'm just trusting that you are the expert in this industry, and that you are getting me the best deal.
Yeah.
Because I've expressed that that's what's important to me, and I would
Right.
happily continue using you, knowing.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know, I'm not checking his pricing and like going, you know.
You're
So
trusting the way that you hope people trust you.
yeah, and I don't
Yeah.
know why people think real estate agents are like a dime a dozen, whatever you can find. You can, but if you actually want to find one who cares and
Quality.
works hard and
Yes.
is a quality person, we have to talk to our clients and tell them difficult things.
100%.
And I always say, like, I'm a straight shooter. I'm going to be telling you everything that's going on, whether it's hard to hear or not.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to be straightforward from the get-go. So
Yeah. Same.
yeah.
But that's job security for us. And like,
Right.
honestly, maybe that whole thing would have been a nightmare because it sounds like they're a little bit of a nightmare to me. But you know, it's just like you never know, right? And we win some and we lose some, and some will always sting. Like they will always sting. You know what I mean? And like my friend that told me, I was like, it was okay. Like I was never once upset. But she
feel
told
like she
me.
communicated with you along the way.
She did.
And that's really nice.
She did.
You know?
And I was very much like, girl. And like she apologized. I was like, you don't need to apologize. Like I want you to do what's best for you. Had she done it like that, I would have been pissed. You know what I mean? But
and like now that I'm getting married and I'm thinking about like my wedding and all this stuff,
Yeah.
like I really believe people need to do what's best for them.
Yes.
And I don't need to feel some type of way about anything.
No.
But if you're going to disrespect me along
It's
the way
different.
to get what you want to, want to do.
Well, then I see you. I clock
yeah.
that, and then it's like now we're opening a whole nother can of worms, and there's more to discuss there about what friendship this really is. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
anyway, well, I'm sorry that happened.
It's okay. I think it's almost
it's
kind
good
of
for-
like a funny,
Yeah.
just a funny story.
Well, and it's good for us to also just like share this, right? Because again, there's a lesson on the other side of it for agents to be like, oh, I'm not alone. You know what I mean? Who listen to this, and also for the consumers out there and my clients and your clients and everyone that we're going to share this podcast with is like, look, we love you and we will work our tails off for you to the very end, and it may or may not be worth the commission, but I'm still going to do it. But like, just don't. We are a business at the end of the day, and we only get paid when something sells. And so please just respect the hustle and like understand that that's what we're doing. You know?
Yeah.
So anyway,
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have time to play a game. You want to play a game really quick?
Yes. Let's do
Okay.
it.
It's called Punch List, and you have to come back for part 2 because I know you have way more stories, and like I could talk to you forever because I just love you so much. Okay. What is the weird? Okay, sorry. It's called Punch List. I'm going to hit you with 3 questions, just like the first thing that comes to mind with every question. Okay.
Okay.
What is the weirdest thing or situation you've ever walked in on?
Like at a house, open house, or anything?
Anywhere? Have you ever walked in and last week or this week, the episode that just came out this week, he opened a closet and there was a dead guy inside?
Yeah, I saw your thing and I was like, what?
It's insane.
I mean,
insane.
I just like, it's just interesting to see how people live. Like people like leaving underwear on the floor and they know I'm coming to do a
Condoms.
showing, or like, just
Disgusting.
For me, it's more just like laundry stuff. And it's funny
Yeah.
because I will clean it up. I'm out here. But I have clients that have like cats and will leave like cat food cans in the bathroom with the door closed. And then when you open it, it just smells like cat food. Like there's, I don't know. Weird
know.
things, nothing too crazy, to be
That's
honest.
good. But I agree with you. The way people live is, I'm such a clean freak that I'm like, oh God, I can't. I'm actually walking a house tomorrow and I saw the photos. I'm walking it with one of my investors and I was like, bring a mask
Well,
for
and
me, bring gloves. Like
I see hoarding and all that stuff, and that's
Yeah.
fine. Like I
Yeah.
really don't think that's a big deal, and everyone lives the way that they live.
Right.
But it's actually it's not. It's about when it's like dirty, not messy. Does that make sense? Like
that's way
I
worse
think
for
that's
me
the
because if it's
difference.
messy and there's a hoarding, there's something else going on. I get it.
Yeah.
It's fine. But when it's dirty and I show up to show your listing and like you haven't even cleaned up for me, I'm not happy with you. We're having a conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
This is more probably personal, but I look
Oh,
younger.
I have a long list for both sides. So whatever you want.
Yeah, I look younger than I am, and I often when I'm showing a property, I get comments like, "Oh, you're not old enough to have this listing," or "You're how can you be at this open house? You don't know enough." And I like a backhanded compliment I get all the time.
Same.
Is wow, you really know what you're talking about.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah, that's my
favorite thing actually, the older I get, is to be underestimated in that way. So I just turned 41 last week, and
Oh, happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you. But I don't look 41 from everything I'm told. I don't think I
didn't know you were 41.
Yeah. And are you like 28? I'm like, first of all,
Cute.
that was backhanded, but I appreciate you saying I'm 28. And second of all, no, I'm 41. So what else you got? You know what I mean? It's just like, or you rattle off stuff and they're like, oh, and I'm like, next. You know what I mean? So I get it a lot too. So I completely understand that.
Yeah.
So
big pet peeve.
this is something I'm super interested in. If you could be anything other than a real estate agent, what would you be and why?
Well, I worked in television production for 6 years, and that's what I studied in college. I really wanted to be like a creative in that world.
That's cool.
But recently, I think that's pivoted. I would be a songwriter. I just I just was thinking about it more and more, and I was like, if I didn't do real estate, I feel like I'd be like, I can't sing. I can like hit a couple notes, but
I cannot, but yeah.
But just like storytelling in that way through a song is so beautiful to me.
That's
and
really cool.
I was like, that could have been Taylor Swift, right? I don't know.
I could be Taylor Swift. Like, it's cool. I could be Taylor Swift.
Super casual.
I actually, for that, I said I would be a country singer. Like, I've always wanted. I can't sing.
We could
like literally be a dynamic duo. I know. I need to get a voice though, and I'm not really sure how that works unless you just do auto-tune all the time. And I think the days of pure auto-tune are probably over,
I mean, I love T-Pain, but he can actually really sing as well. So
exactly. So like,
you have to have some talent.
There is none there, so that's sad. But I think, and someone was like, well, "What does that say? You just like the spotlight?" And I was like, "Probably. Who knows?" Anyway, hence the podcast. I don't know. Anyway, I'm so glad we did this. You have to come back on at some point.
Yes. No, I'd be happy to. And I have so many
next time you're in San Diego, we need to get together, or I'll come up there. We need to like honestly just like pick a weekend and like figure it out because I just want to see you so bad. So anyway,
me too.
Well, I love you so much. Thank you for being here.
Love you too. Thanks for having me.
Yes. And guys, please don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube, follow us on Instagram at Behind the Lockbox. And of course, leave us a kind review. And don't forget to follow and download the show on Apple and Spotify. So, all right. Woo! Thanks, Justine. Love you, babe.
Of course. Love you. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Behind the Lockbox is produced and edited by Property Showcase Group. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, or review this podcast. Thanks for your support. See you next week.